Hello, YouTube. I just have a few things to say. Number one, Paul Ryan and the rest of the GOP and all elected officials currently holding U.S. office really need to get their shit together. Fact of the matter is, this country's turning to shit. I can predict with almost absolute certainty, with absolutely no experience whatsoever in really anything, that within the next 15 to 30 years, this country, if not already destroyed by nuclear war because of some dumb shit our current president, Donald J. Trump, has done, will experience a major rebellion and or civil war or revolution or some shit like that, because honestly the people have almost no faith left in our political system here in the United States. You ask most Americans if they think that it would be a good idea, if enough time and thought and the right measures were taken, to rewrite the US Constitution from scratch. If you ask them that, most of them would say, yeah, go ahead, do that. It's a good idea. If you ask most Americans who've taken a college-level political science course, or even just a college-level U.S. history course, if they think George Washington was right when he said that having political parties was a bad idea, I guarantee you almost 90% of them will agree. That's all I wanted to say. U.S. government, the onus is on you. You elected officials in Congress have created a system where you can remain in power for almost your entire adult life once you are elected to a position, as long as you gerrymander shit the right way. So the onus is on you to make things better, to stop working for just some of the people. Don't think about just the constituents in your district or your state, or the people that you know are your constituents in your district or your state, or just US citizens when making laws in the United States. Don't think about just those people. Don't be so small-minded. Remember, the UN exists. There is actually already a world government for a majority of the countries in the world. Maybe you should think that when you make a law in the United States, one of the most influential economies in the world, one of the most influential military powers in the world, one of the most influential legislative powers in the world, seeing as the United States is both a founding member of the UN and a member of the Security Council. In fact, it is one of the rotating heads of the Security Council, based solely on the fact that it is one of the founding members and most powerful members of the UN, while also being one of the most rich countries in the world. Maybe you should think that a law in the US, no matter how small, no matter what it's about, even if it's a super US specific thing, will have long-lasting repercussions for every other country in the world. A bill about water cleanliness in the United States will affect how policymakers make decisions in third world countries. Because if anything the media says or has said over the past 25 years is to be believed, there are at least still some countries in the world that look to the US as the promised land, as a place where one can get anything they want as long as they work hard and believe in themselves. And the so-called American dream. So, remember that when you make a law, when you make a law, you pass a bill that takes away a healthcare system that could have been easily worked up into universal single-payer healthcare for every U.S. citizen. Before you make a law that takes that away, a law that most of you Republicans who voted for it didn't even read all the way through, which just baffles me. How do you not read a law you voted for? Isn't that your entire fucking job? To read the laws before you vote for them? How the fuck are you supposed to represent somebody and their opinions on that law, which is how you're supposed to represent your constituents, by the way? You're supposed to be representing what the average opinion, the average overarching opinion of somebody within your district and constituency population thinks that's what you're supposed to be representing. So how can you say you represent that if you don't even know what the fuck you're voting on? I've gone on long enough. Here's my points. Number one, U.S. politicians. Pay the fuck attention to what the people are actually saying. Don't be like Paul Ryan and shut off your public faxes and telephones and emails and all that shit. Because motherfucker, guess what? People are just gonna find where your fucking address is and send you fucking letters. And here's the fun bit, buddy. Not enough money in the world for you to get people to stop doing that. People will still do it. I did it. I sent you 6 letters, Paul Ryan. All of them say fuck you. One of them tells you to kill yourself. The one after that tells you I'm sorry because suicide's not a joke. But point number one, pay attention to your actual constituents. Have outreach programs so that you can understand what all of your constituents think. From the wealthiest to the poorest. From the most obviously heterosexual, straight, athletic male who also happens to be Caucasian to the anybody fucking else. Because guess what, politicians of America, even you, Bernie Sanders, do you know what most people of the millennial generation think of you? We think it's a politician's job to lie to people and get rich off of it and get powerful from it. Wonder why millennials are so lazy? Because none of us see a fucking point in trying. Ever. The world's just gonna beat us down, lie to us, and take away our rights. And then tell us it was our fault. So, point number 2. Stop blaming millennials for fucking everything. And point number 3, legalize motherfucking marijuana, you dumbass motherfuckers. Look at the tax revenue and the tax returns that are going on in Colorado. Look at how much money people are making off of marijuana and how little crime is related to it. Look at the numbers presented by sources you wouldn't normally look at because they don't always give you information that agrees directly with your motherfucking political viewpoints. Remember something. Politics isn't about religion. It's about morality. And those are not always the same goddamn thing. Because if they were, well then, to all you Christians out there, really, if morality and religion were the exact same thing, Jesus would have never needed to exist or die for your sins. Bye.